3 in the morning. You heard a click. The heat in your house is completely dead. This is not a regular power trip. This is a total collapse of the city grid. Right now, it is 30 below zero outside, and you are curled up inside a box that is slowly turning into an ice cube. If you do not follow the survival logic I am about to give you, there is a high chance you will not see the sun tomorrow. I am not joking with you. This is the final gambit between you and the Grim Reaper. I suggest you like this and download this video right now, because in the middle of that freezing night, this video could even vanish at any moment for any number of reasons. Do not blink. Let's dive straight into this life or death game of body temperature. You probably always thought you were a high-level, civilized being, but in the face of a polar vortex, you are actually just a 100-watt meat battery. As long as you are still breathing, your metabolism is burning heat like crazy. This is your last bit of capital. But the extreme cold is a thief that is sneaky to the core. It is lurking in the darkness outside your window, staring at you, the walking battery, waiting to rob you blind using 3 physical methods. The first is called conduction. When you step barefoot on the floor or sit your butt on a frozen sofa, the earth acts like a greedy vampire, sucking the warmth out of your body through direct contact. This is exactly why homeless people always use thick cardboard. The second is called convection. Those gusts of icy wind piercing through the window cracks are like invisible ice blades, stripping away heat dozens of times faster than you can produce it. Every time the wind speed doubles, your perceived temperature drops by several degrees. The third is the most hidden. It is called radiation. Even if you stay perfectly still, as long as the surroundings are cold enough, your body will act like a tiny dim star, constantly bleeding infrared energy into the void. This is silent hemorrhaging. Your ultimate mission is not to find a fire. It is to stop the bleeding. You must hold on to the last bit of warmth inside your body. If you cannot stop the heat from escaping, wearing even the thickest winter gear is just accelerating the process of becoming a block of ice. The first reality we have to face is that proud big house of yours. The moment the power goes out, a big house becomes a tomb. The larger the room, the thinner the heat you give off becomes. It is like throwing a handful of salt into the ocean. You cannot possibly warm up that massive space, so you must perform a strategic retreat. Abandon 90% of your living space and heat only one room, a space as small as possible with as few windows as possible. The best option is the bathroom or a windowless walk-in closet. If you have neither, pick the smallest bedroom you have. It does not matter if it looks good. It matters if it is cramped. A small room can trap your pitiful heat like a bunker. A big room will only swallow your life like a bottomless pit. Once you pick the room, start the lockdown immediately. Grab your tape and garbage bags, or those old clothes you haven't washed yet. Stuff them all under the door cracks. Seal the edges of the window frames. We want to stop the cold from crawling in like a predator. You need to turn this small room into a primitive thermal capsule. Imagine you are inside a deep-sea submersible. Outside is the crushing dark sea, and this is your only safe harbor. If you have large plastic sheets, tape them over the windows. It might look trashy. It might look like a demolition site, but believe me, when it is 30 below zero, dignity is worth less than a piece of paper. You have become a caveman now, but this identity will let you survive the next 48 hours. Now that we solved the space issue, let's talk about maintaining that meat battery of yours. A lot of people think staying warm means dressing like a giant ball. That is amateur suicide. True warmth is a precise physical layering. You do not need expensive brands. You do not need high-tech materials. What you really need is dead air. Air is the greatest insulator on this planet. As long as you can keep the air still, you can lock in the warmth. So you must learn to manage your clothing layers. The first layer must be the wicking layer. This layer determines whether you live or die. Most people who die in the cold die because they wore pure cotton underwear. Cotton is a survivalist nightmare. It becomes a shroud once it gets wet. If you break a sweat because of nerves or work cotton underwear, will quickly absorb that moisture. Then, the thermal conductivity of water is 25 times faster than air. Wet clothes are like ice bricks strapped to your body. It will frantically suck the heat out of you, sending you into hypothermia in just a few hours. So never wear pure cotton shoes, wool, or synthetic fibers that wick moisture. The second layer is the insulation layer. This is where you can unleash your inner scavenger. Fleece jackets or old sweaters, even shredded paper you find in the trash. As long as it creates still air pockets, it will hold the heat. You want to turn yourself into a mobile stuffed toy. Every piece of crumpled newspaper, hides a tiny thermal chamber. This is why you see many homeless people stuffing newspapers in their coats. It is not because they are crazy. It is because they understand physics better than you do. The third layer is the windproof shell, a large garbage bag or a torn rain jacket. As long as it blocks the wind, it is your guardian angel. I need to correct a rumor that has been around for half a century. Some people say 90% of body heat is lost through the head. That is total nonsense. If you go out without pants but wear a hat, your lower body will definitely freeze first. But a hat is still core equipment because the blood vessels in your head are extremely dense and your brain is a selfish energy hog. Once the brain feels cold, that will force the blood flow to your limbs to shut down, leaving your hands and feet icy or even necrotic. So make sure you cover your head tightly. Protect your command center. If you still feel cold after all this, we need to use some hardcore physics hacks. The water bottle radiator. This is the central heating of the survival world. If you can find even a tiny heat source, even embers that haven't fully died out, or your neighbor's car engine that hasn't cooled down yet, get a bottle of hot water. Find a pressure-resistant plastic bottle or a metal canteen. Fill it with warm water. Never use boiling water. Otherwise, the plastic bottle might warp, or you might burn yourself into a piece of cooked meat in the middle of the night. Wrap the bottle tightly in an old sock or shirt. Then tuck it under your armpit or against your belly. These two spots are the heating core of your body. This is like giving your body an external radiator. The heat capacity of water is incredibly high. It can release heat for hours. By the time you wake up, it will be just warm, and you can drink it to stay hydrated. It is a perfect 2-for-1 strategy. What if you have no hot water? No problem. You can try using your core body temperature to warm a bottle of cold water. Tuck it under your armpit to warm it up first. Then move it to your feet. You are now a biological heat pump, using the extra heat from your core to save your toes that are about to freeze solid. This process will drain your energy, but in the dead of a freezing night, this prevents you from losing sensation in your nerves. This is why mountain climbers warm each other's feet in extreme cold. It is not embarrassing. It is physical survival. Let's talk about another underrated tool: scrap cardboard. Do not look down on the trash sitting by the dumpster. Cardboard is the soft gold of the survival world. Layer them on the floor. You can tape cardboard to the windows. You can even cut cardboard and stuff it inside your jacket. It might creak when you walk and look ridiculous, but your perceived temperature will jump up 5 degrees instantly. If you are forced to stay in a car overnight, do not just sit there and cry. Do not keep the heater running indefinitely, because your gas will run out, and snow might block the exhaust pipe, causing carbon monoxide poisoning. You should cover the roof and seats with cardboard. Block all the glass windows. You are building a paper house inside the car. It looks ugly, but it holds your last bit of warmth. Cardboard is a survivalist's body armor. As long as you have it, you have one more chip to stay alive. Think about the people sleeping on the streets. The reason they survive is because of these seemingly useless pieces of cardboard. This is the beauty of physics. It does not care about your social status. It only cares if you understand its laws. Next, I am going to talk about a move that might be a little awkward, but it is the ultimate tactic on the edge of life and death: huddling for warmth. This is the most primitive and greatest symbiotic instinct in biology. If there are other survivors around you, I do not care about your relationship. I do not care if you just met right now. You are brothers in arms in the same trench. In the face of extreme cold, social distance is useless garbage. Back to back or side to side, 3 or 4 people under one blanket sharing body heat. This is not a joke. This is rigorous biophysics. The survival probability of 2 people in one sleeping bag is much higher than 2 people in 2 separate bags. Animals learned this tens of millions of years ago. This is how penguins survive Antarctic blizzards. This is how wolf packs sleep in the deep night. Humans are not more advanced than them. If you are alone, take the fetal position. Pull your knees to your chest and wrap your arms tight. Try to minimize your surface area for heat loss. You want to shrink yourself into a dense fireball. If you happen to have a dog, that is absolutely perfect. A dog's body temperature is higher than a human's. It is a mobile heater with its own fur coat. Hold it tight, and neither of you will freeze. In this crisis, a pet is no longer a burden. It is your best ally in this frozen world. But remember to give them enough food and water too. They are also burning their life to keep you warm. We have to talk about the taboos of heat sources. Some things look like they save lives, but they are actually invitations from the Reaper. I will say this again: never use a gas stove or oven for indoor heating. I do not care how cold it is. I do not care if your neighbor is doing it. Gas appliances release carbon monoxide, an odorless and colorless gas. It will make you feel sleepy without you knowing it. Then it stops your heart while you are dreaming. This is a one-way ticket from carbon monoxide. The same warning applies to charcoal stoves and generators. Never put a generator indoors or even on a balcony. If the wind direction changes, the exhaust will flood the room. Every year, people die during blackouts from this ignorant bravery. You think you are fighting the cold, but you are actually digging your own grave. The best heat source is always your body and proper insulation. If you must light candles, make sure they are in sturdy ceramic bowls and never fall asleep with them burning. A fire during a blackout is a death sentence because the fire department might be frozen. You won't even find a drop of water to put it out. Let's talk about water management. This determines if your house will survive. A few hours after the power dies, the countdown for your pipes begins. Water expands when it freezes. It will burst metal pipes like an explosive charge. When the power eventually comes back, you might find yourself returning to a flooded ruin. So please, let every faucet drip immediately. Not a heavy flow, but a thin stream, about the width of a pencil lead. Physics tells us that moving water is hard to freeze. This buys you precious time. By the way, check your water heater. It usually stores dozens of gallons of clean water. That is your emergency water source. Turn off the power or gas to the heater first. Let it cool down. Then open the drain valve at the bottom. Boom! Dozens of gallons of fresh water. This is a life-saving resource. Normally, everyone needs at least a gallon of water a day to survive. If you have no stock, the second the blackout happens, fill your bathtub and every pot and pan you have, because the city water pressure might vanish at any time. One more key point. If you must melt snow for water, do not do it inside the house. Melt it outside and then bring the water in, because melting snow creates massive amounts of moisture. Moisture will make the perceived temperature drop fast, and it will make your house grow mold. Remember, dehydration makes your heat production drop. Drinking water is not for comfort. It is to keep your biological reactor running. Many people feel extremely cold when dehydrated because their blood thickens and the circulation cannot carry the heat anymore. So make sure you stay hydrated, even if you do not feel thirsty. Eating is also a strategy. You must eat like a scavenger. Think like a general when allocating calories. Your fridge is now a box turning into scrap metal, but the heat exchange inside hasn't fully stopped yet. This is a race against the clock. If the freezer is packed, do not open the door. It can last 48 hours without melting. If it is only half full, it only has about 24 hours. The fridge is the worst. It has a lifespan of 1 day at most. So you must prioritize with precision. Eat the leftovers and dairy in the fridge first, then move to the meat in the freezer. Here is a bit of reverse logic. If it is already below freezing outside, you are incredibly lucky. Nature just gave you a free freezer of infinite size. Put your food in a sealed box and move it to the backyard, as long as you make sure stray animals don't get it. Your backyard is the most reliable cold storage in the world. Once all the fresh food is gone, then you touch the canned goods and dry rations. That is your final strategic reserve. When you eat, try to pick high-calorie and high-fat foods. Chocolate, peanut butter, nuts. These are high-density biofuels for your internal engine. Forget about any diet plans. Your body will burn double the calories just to stay alive in the cold. Every bite of fat is like adding dry wood to your biological furnace. Light is more than just vision. It is a psychological power. Stumbling around in a pitch-black house, you can easily trip and break something critical or knock over your only light source. So, light it up. Flashlights, headlamps, even kids' glow sticks. Bring them all out for area marking. Here is a tip to save energy when you are staying still. Use candles or low-power nightlights. Only use the strong flashlight when moving or doing tasks. If you find that all the batteries are gone, do not despair entirely. You can try making a primitive oil lamp. Find a small, heat-resistant glass jar. Fill it halfway with cooking oil. Any vegetable or animal oil will do. Cut a strip of an old cotton shirt or a cotton shoelace for a wick. Twist it, tight soak it in oil, and light it up. It can burn for hours. Even though the light is dim, it gives you the hope of life in the dark. This ancient physics of capillary action is more reliable than any high-tech gadget when the grid fails. Place it in a safe corner with high reflectivity. Let that tiny glow drive away the silence of the room. Communication and community are also variables of survival. Isolation kills the will to live faster than the cold. Your phone might just be a textured brick right now. Cell towers have failed because they have no power backup. The internet is a distant digital memory. You are cut off from modern civilization. If you prepared a hand crank radio, that is your only sense right now. Tune into local low frequency broadcasts find out where the government warming centers are. If you have none of these, you must enter extreme power saving mode, kill all background apps and signal searches on your phone. Only turn it on to send a location in a life or death moment. A car charger can save you. But remember, never ever start your car in a closed garage to charge the carbon monoxide. Will put you to sleep in minutes. The best communication tool is actually your two legs go knock on your neighbor's doors. Especially the elderly who live alone. Share a bit of your warmth. Share the survival intel you have. In the face of disaster, your community is your second line of defense. Survival is never a solo hero. Acted as a resource integration of a group in these frozen moments. Equal sharing of information and mutual aid often determines the survival rate of an entire building you need to show leadership and organize people instead of hiding in a corner shivering. Imagine that moment. The lights suddenly flicker in the dark. That low hum of the grid returning comes from the walls. The furnace lets out a low roar. That is the sound of the fans spinning again. Then, the first gust of warm air blows from the vent. You look at that messy small room you sealed up. You look at the layers of old clothes wrapped around you. You look at that faucet still dripping to save the pipes, and you will suddenly laugh because you did not panic, you did not freeze to death, and you did not get poisoned by that damn carbon monoxide. You won the gambit in the heart of winter. You did not rely on a fancy bunker or any movie style superpowers. You relied on some humble scraps, a bit of basic science, and a mind that refused to surrender until the end. You survived. That is the perfect interpretation of the will to live. This is not just a story. This is a manual for a reality that can happen anytime. You are no longer a regular person who cries in a disaster. You are a true survivor, someone who knows how to rebuild warmth from the ruins. Finally, I want to ask every one of you watching, if tonight, right at this moment, the grid went down, looking around you, does your current stock allow you to survive the first 24 hours? If you find you don't even have tape or extra water or a small room you can seal, then go prepare right now. Do not wait for the Reaper to knock before you start looking. Survival only belongs to the prepared mind. Drop your survival list in the comments or share a warm hack you think works best. Let's complete this life manual together in the comments. If you think this was hard hitting enough, do not forget to send this to the person you care about most. In this uncertain world, teaching the ones you love how to survive is the deepest form of care. Stay alert. Keep your core temperature up. Do not let this world freeze you out. In the next video, we will keep digging through urban trash to find those hidden survival gems. I will see you there. Stay strong. Survivors, prepare early, and good luck.